A giant anaconda had coiled itself around a defenseless elephant calf. The little one writhed and trumpeted, its high-pitched cries splitting the air, shattering what only moments before had been peace. Just when it seemed hope was gone, the mother elephant stepped forward, her massive shadow swallowing the scene. This wasn't simply predator and prey. This was a mother staring straight into her worst nightmare to end the lush, green grasslands of the acacia forest. A battle was about to begin. Not just any fight, but a clash between the suffocating grip of a serpent and the unstoppable force of a mother's love. The air, once sweet with grass and warm earth, grew heavy with tension. Time slowed. Every second stretched as the calf struggled for breath, its eyes wide with fear and disbelief. The mother's eyes, so often soft, patient, filled with calm, now burned with fire that could scorch the ground she stood on. She could see it. The life draining from her child, the cold, unfeeling stare of the reptile that held it captive. A low rumble began deep in her chest, swelling into a sound of pure, unfiltered rage. She had to act. She had to act now. But to truly understand the depth of her courage, we need to step back. Just moments before, there had been peace. Because every tragedy begins with silence, a calm that makes a storm that follows all the more devastating. That day had started beneath a wide, benevolent sky. Sunlight spilled through the acacia leaves, laying shifting patterns of gold and shadow across the emerald grass. A breeze stirred the canopy, carrying the hum of insects and the distant cries of birds. At the heart of that serenity stood the mother elephant and her calf. She moved with deliberate grace, a tower of quiet strength. Every now and then she plucked a tuft of grass, but her gaze never wandered far from her child. The calf was her opposite, clumsy, curious, bursting with energy. It stayed close, mimicking her movements with endearing awkwardness. Its ears flapped with excitement. Sometimes it would nudge her leg gently, a silent reassurance, before bouncing back into its playful exploration. This bond, woven from care and trust, was one of nature's greatest forces. Then, something caught the calf's eye. A flicker of color, a yellow butterfly, bright and alive, dancing in the breeze. Innocent instinct drove the little one forward. Just a few playful steps, a chase as harmless as laughter. But those steps carried away from its mother's safety and into the jaws of unseen peril. In a patch of grass that looked like all the rest, danger waited. Perfectly hidden, an anaconda lay coiled and patient. Its patterned scales melted into the shadows and light, rendering it almost invisible. An ancient predator, a master patience, built of nothing but muscle and instinct. Its method was simple and merciless, constriction. When it struck, it would coil and squeeze. Each breath its victim lost tightening the embrace, until none remained. The snake had been waiting, sensing the faint vibrations of the earth. And now, the calf wandered right into its reach. In a blur, the serpent erupted from cover. The peace of the forest shattered in a heartbeat. Fury uncoiled, wrapping the calf in suffocating strength. The calf's tiny trumpet of panic tore through the air, slicing the stillness like a blade. The mother's world collapsed with that sound. Her head shot up, her massive body tense. And then she saw it. The vision struck her like a blow. Her child, already ensnared in the coils of the monster. The snake's body was a living vice, tightening around her calf, forcing its legs to buckle. Rage took her. She bellowed, a sound so loud it rattled the leaves, and thundered forward with one thought: destroy the beast. But the serpent was no stranger to battle. It reared its body, rising, hissing with its mouth gaping wide. A warning as old as time: come closer and you'll pay. Its sheer size, its confidence, forced the mother to pause. Just for a second, in that pause, desperation seeped in. She trumpeted again, but this time the sound cracked with something else. Pleading, a desperate cry for help. She looked to the horizon, hoping for the sight of her herd. But the plains stretched empty. They had already moved on, too far to hear, too far to come. The crushing truth hit her. She was utterly, devastatingly alone, and then a figure appeared at the clearing's edge. Ranger Alex. He had been on patrol nearly a mile away when the first cry had reached him. Years of experience had trained his ear. He knew what this sound meant. It wasn't play. It wasn't a call of territory. It was a sound he dreaded most. The sound of life hanging by a thread. He moved fast, silent as the wind, until he found cover behind a towering acacia tree. Lifting his binoculars, the truth snapped into focus, and his heart dropped. Training told him to stay out of it. To remember this was nature, raw and merciless, predator and prey. But his humanity betrayed him, chaining him there, forcing him to watch as a helpless witness. The mother elephant's cries went unanswered, her fury boiling back toward the fight. She stomped the ground with thunderous force, each colossal footfall rattling the earth. Dust and clumps of grass burst into the air, shock waves rippling outward. She struck dangerously close to the serpent, trying to intimidate it, trying to break its grip, trying to force it into letting go. But the anaconda did not waver. Its coil stayed locked, unyielding. Its focus was absolute. The calves' struggles weakened. Its cries thinned into broken whimpers. Time was running out. Brute force had failed. And what she did next was something Ranger Alex would never forget. IT wasn't instinct alone. It was something far greater. A decision. A plan. Suddenly, the frenzy in her movement stopped. A deep, unnatural stillness cloaked her enormous frame. Through his binoculars, Alex saw the change immediately. The wild panic in her eyes shifted into something sharper, colder. Focus. The rage was still there, but it was no longer reckless. It had been refined, narrowed to a blade's edge. She wasn't just reacting anymore. She was thinking, and then she acted, not with a wild lunge, but with a breathtaking, deliberate strategy. First, she shifted her weight, slowly, carefully. One massive foot pressed down on the lower half of the anaconda's body. Not a crushing blow, but a precise, anchoring pin. The snake thrashed, its tail lashing violently, but the elephant had cut off its true weapon, its leverage. A constrictor's power lies in its full length, every muscle working together to tighten its coils. By pinning a section of its body, she had broken the physics of its strength. It was power against power, but with her move, she had tilted the balance. Then came the second step, the one that left Alex breathless. She lowered her head, reached out her trunk, not as a weapon this time, but as a tool. With astonishing care, she hooked the tip under a thick coil strangling her calf's chest. And she pulled. IT became a tug-of-war between life and death. Muscles rippled across her shoulders, her back arched with strain. The ground itself seemed to tremble beneath her effort. The snake tightened, desperate, doubling down. For a terrifying moment, neither side gave an inch. It was a perfect stalemate, an unbearable pause between survival and loss. Alex's breath caught. He realized he was watching a mother literally trying to peel death off her child. And then it broke. With one last, guttural heave, the mother elephant wrenched the coil loose. The grip gave way. The spell was shattered. Wounded and outmatched, the anaconda recoiled, slipping away into the brush with shocking speed, vanishing into shadow. But victory carried no relief. Not yet. The calf collapsed, limp on the grass. Silent. Still. The clearing, once filled with thunder and screams, fell into an unbearable quiet. The battle was over, but the war for life had only just begun. The mother elephant no longer saw the serpent. It was gone, irrelevant. Her entire universe was reduced to the fragile body at her feet. The warrior of moments before vanished, replaced by the gentlest of mothers. She lowered herself carefully, massive knees bending, and reached out her trunk. The same trunk that had waged war now moved with impossible tenderness. She caressed her calf's side, sending soft, rumbling vibrations from deep within her chest. Encouragement, comfort, a desperate plea for a sign of life. Alex held his breath, the silence wrapping tighter around him. For a long, aching moment, nothing. Too late, he thought. Too late. And then it happened. A faint flicker of movement, an eyelid flutter, a twitch of a floppy ear, the smallest spark of life. The mother felt it, too. Her rumbles deepened, grew more insistent, filled with hope. She nudged again, whispering life into her child. And then came a shuddering, fragile breath. One, then another. Slowly, the calf stirred, legs trembling, fighting to rise. With her massive frame pressed against him, lending him strength, he finally stood. Weak, unsteady, but alive. IT wasn't just survival. It was a miracle. Alex exhaled his chest tight, his hands shaking around at binoculars. What he had witnessed was no accident of instinct. It was intelligence, strategy, love turned into raw, unstoppable force, a mother's devotion that could unravel death itself. And as he stepped quietly back into the wilderness, leaving the family to their moment, one truth settled into his heart. The bond between parent and child is the most powerful force in nature. Fierce, unbreakable, universal.